Welcome back. The First Takedown podcast. We are in episode three. Episode three. Hey, we appreciate everybody so far that's followed us on Instagram, YouTube. Picked up some more followers this weekend, Hunter.
What are we up to 30,
Something like that. I don't know.
30 on
Check,
Instagram?
check. Hey, I will say though, we had one reel talking about O'Toole and Hamidi's match, and it was like that might be almost up to like 2,000 views
We had
now.
like
So
1,500 views. Yeah, getting up
yeah.
there, getting up there. I had my same hat on as Alex, so I had to change hats, and this is perfect for. It's like we're on the verge of Miller time in Philadelphia. If you guys didn't know, so it's about to be Miller time. Ethan and Cal, let's go.
Let's do it. Well, hey, let's just get right into it. I mean,
Yeah,
this podcast is just mainly for us to go over our picks. Last podcast we talked about brackets have just come out that day. Now it's Monday, the NCAA tournament week. You are leaving and going to Philadelphia. What day? Wednesday?
can't wait. Yeah, Wednesday, boots on the ground. Wednesday, there will be a musk in the air. It's that time of the year. Dude, I
It's gonna
love
be
it.
good.
I love the tournament. I get giddy and I don't even have anything, invested into it like I did. Like coaching, it was probably the most stressful thing you could imagine at that tournament. But just being even there as a fan is it's stressful when,
Yeah.
you just know how much is at stake, right? So such a cool tournament.
Yeah.
I try to tell even people that don't follow wrestling, if you ever want to go to an event and you have the money to go, this is one of the craziest events that you can imagine.
Mhm.
And being at the event and watching it on TV, I'm not an advocate of going to events over watching them on TV for the most part, but in this case, it's awesome to be at the
The
events.
best.
Definitely go. But we're gonna start out whatever time it is, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. I don't even know what time the first round is, but we starting hot with 125. So,
Heck yeah.
well, no, we'll be starting hot with pigtails, but then 125 will be shortly,
Yeah.
shortly after.
So for right now, just for all of our viewers that are listening, watching, whatever, however you're doing it, however you consume your podcast, it's only on YouTube, so that's probably it.
Shorts,
We're gonna
shorts and reels,
shorts
reels on
and
Instagram. Yeah.
yeah, we're going to just go through every weight class. Hunter's gonna tell you what top eight that he's picked, two All-American at each weight. We're gonna go through the little bit of the path of each of those, and then throw out maybe some dark horses too that we think could ruffle some feathers in Philadelphia. So it's gonna be good. But I mean, hey, you ready?
Yeah, let's do
You
it.
ready to jump into it? Let's jump into 125.
Yeah, yeah. So 125. I mean, let's just talk about the top side first. I mean, I think for me the quarters, I have Lillidahl and Smith in the top side quarter. I have Smith beating Seymour in that round of 16, and then I have Figs and V Rob in the quarter below that, and then I have Ventresca and Nicolar Rivera actually sitting there taking that upset win over Jet Strickenberg. I think Nicolar's wrestled really really well lately, so I have him getting that upset win, and then I have Troy Spratley and Matt Ramos down in the last quarter. Pretty chalky. I mean, most of these are going to be kind of chalky, and I won't go through every little quarter like that. I just want to kind of set it up how I have it going from there. So I have Lillidahl and Figs meeting in the semis. I have Figs beating V Rob, and then I have Ventresca beating Nicolar Rivera, and then meeting up with Matt Ramos in the semi. So I think that'll be a rematch of Vegas, Ramos, and Ventresca, and then I mean, to me, the most anticipated matchup there is Figs and Lillidahl. I really want to see how that plays out on their feet. I think that's a really, really exciting matchup.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I did different, and this might already go into the dark horse that I have for this one, but I did put Spratley upsetting Ramos.
Nice,
Might be a little bit crazy.
nice.
I
Yeah,
feel like
with the cowboy hat,
with
with your Oklahoma State hat on. Love it.
I mean I know he lost Big 12 finals, but I don't know. I think one thing that I thought about a lot of is you now have David Taylor that I think is really going to help these guys be prepared for the national tournament. So I try to think that and like put that into the factor a little bit. But that's my only difference besides yours. Like I love both
Always
picks.
bullish on Spratley. Like I'm always super high on Spratley, and he never really has the results for like to back up how I feel about him. But I genuinely think he has the skills to wrestle with all those guys. I mean, maybe it's just because of what he's done on the freestyle scene that year, a couple years ago when he beat Bassett and Forrest and made that. I think he made the junior world team that year, and just kind of. I don't know. He's got the pedigree that a Luke Lillidahl has, that a Richie Figs has, of kind of that age level success. Maybe not the same pedigree that Lillidahl has, but just he has that age level success where he's made a team. Lillidahl, obviously multiple time world champ, a little bit different, but yeah, I don't know. I've always been super high on Spratley, so I like that. I have him place and actually have him coming back and taking third. So that's how we are. Oklahoma State bias, whatever, call it whatever you want. I've got him coming back and taking third, so over Ventresca. So I'll just tell you how I have it. I have Lillidahl beating Figs up in the top side and Ramos beating Ventresca on the bottom side, and then I have Lillidahl taking out Ramos again, pretty handily, honestly. I think it'll probably be a 1 or 2 takedown match. Mm-hmm. And I guess handily in the sense of it'll just be controlled. The way I watched that first match, I don't know how Ramos gets to him unless he hits him with something kind of big.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. People talking about Penn State and 125. We'll see. I think Lillidahl is a little bit different than what we've seen in the past. So it's going to be really fun. I think that my most anticipated matchup is probably that semifinal up top, like you were talking about, of Figueroa and Lillidahl, and I think that one's going to be a lot of fun. So, all right, you got Lillidahl.
Yeah, so I'll just run through the picks. Yeah, I've got Lillidahl, Ramos, Spratley at the 3, Ventresca at the 4. I have Figs beating Vincent Robinson for 5th, 6th, and then I have Caleb Smith taking out Sheldon Seymour. Have Seymour squeaking in there. I tried to get that one. I kind of tossed and turned with that blood round match between Nicolas Rivera and Sheldon Seymour. I'm not really sure which way to go on that one. I could really see that one either way. But yeah, that's my top 8. I think that it's going to be a fun weight. 25, just like last year, really fun. I think it's a little bit less chaotic than last year, but hopefully not. Hopefully it's crazy from the first whistle.
Yeah. Well, good. All right. Well, those are your top 8. So if you're in DraftKings, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't
yeah.
know.
I mean, Lillidahl's the favorite on DK to win, so I think it's like plus 180 on DraftKings to take Lillidahl. So I don't know that it's a super strong. I don't like the price just because he's got to run through Figs and Ramos, and I think that those are two of the better guys in the field. So I don't know. I don't like that he has to run through Figs necessarily. I think that's one of the only guys that can match him on his feet.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get right into 133 then.
Yeah. 133 again, another weight that we've just been talking about how chaotic it could be. But then when you look at the seeds and the way they line up, it kind of lines up very, 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 very chalky to me, at least. The way that I ended up having it. So I have Bird taking out Davis in that top quarter. I have Romney taking out Dom Serrano, and then I have Evan Frost making the semi. If you guys listen to the pod, you know how high I am on Evan Frost. I think he was sick at conference. We have to just scratch that weekend.
See him taking out Bailey.
I got him taking out Nasir Bailey, and then I've got Ayala taking out Bouzakis in a match that I really want to see that match. Like I don't know why I want to see that though. I want to see Ayala have to battle through a guy that's kind of as dangerous as Bouzakis. It gets pretty chalky from there. Bird over Romney. I have Ayala winning that rematch with Frost that he wrestled earlier in the season, and then I have Bird taking out Ayala again in a rematch of the Big Ten Finals.
Nice. My only difference, I even did the Frost one. And
yes, let's go.
Maybe you like pushed me.
I swayed you. You pushed me on Spratley through like kinetic, like it was just telekinesis. I didn't have him making the semi, but then coming back and taking third.
I had him making the finals. I haven't beat him at B, but we didn't get it.
Oh my goodness! No, you should have run through that.
No, the only difference I have is Ayala winning. I have him coming and winning this match.
And I think a lot of people do. I think him and Bird, they're 1-1 on the season, so I think people are kind of like, oh, Bird got him in that little, cement job, pushed him over, pinned him. Not that he caught him, but I think people are very open to the idea of Ayala winning that rematch, and I think he very well could.
Yeah, and the only thing I lean on there is just that he's been in the final before, and he doesn't want to get second place again.
Right.
And, I think he had maybe a little bit different mindset going into this tournament. I don't know. That's the only reason I think I picked him above that. But all
Yeah.
right, let's get into your All Americans.
Yeah. The top eight. So I've got Bird at the one, Ayala at the two. I have Nick Bouzakis coming back all the way from losing to Ayala in the quarter and taking third. So another quarter loser coming back and taking third. I got him taking out Braden Davis in the third, fourth match. In the fifth, sixth match, I've got Nasir Bailey taking out, who did I have at the other weight? Excuse me. I got him taking out Zeth Romney again, so that'd be the fourth time they met this year. So Bailey taking out Romney, and then I have Braxton Brown taking out Dylan Shawver for seventh and eighth.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, have Shawver coming back, placing. Excuse me, I messed one of those up. I know I did because I have Frost in the semis. So that
Yeah. Yeah.
doesn't that
Wait a
doesn't
second.
make any that
Wait
doesn't
a
make any
second.
sense.
He did a way bigger than a semi slide. He fell all
Yeah,
the way up.
no, that doesn't make much sense, does it? Where did I mess up at?
I will say I picked. I do think Dom Serrano will All American. I don't know why, but I think him and I'm excited to see him and Romney wrestle. I think
Yeah,
that'll be an interesting quarter match. And I think that might be a determining All
this
American.
this is where it is, and you're gonna love this one. You might not love it. I have Nasir Bailey losing in the blood round. Excuse me.
Wow.
Yeah, I have him losing in the blood round to Braxton Brown.
All
Yeah,
right.
maybe a little Maryland love there, but we'll
Yeah.
we'll take it. So I actually have Evan Frost taking fifth over Romney, and then I have Brown over Shawver for seventh and eighth.
Nice. Okay.
That's
All right. I like
totally
that.
not going to happen, but
Some homer picks, some upsets though. I like that. I like that. What's a dark horse? I guess would that be Evan Frost since he's 11 seed? You think?
I don't know that you can. I mean, I guess because he's an 11 seed, right? Like you'd say, oh, just like seed wise, he's in that range. But I don't know that you can say that he's a super dark horse. I think the most obvious one is one that we talked about is two-time All-American Kyorini. He has Nick Bouzakis right out of the gate, and that's a scary match for Bouzakis. Right away. I think Tyler Knox is a tough dude. He has shown that he can compete at that highest level. He beat Drake Ayala this year. So a couple guys like that are maybe in those teens, kind of 11, 12, 13 area that you're sitting there going, yeah, that's a scary match on the backside, blood round,
Yeah.
round of 16 type of
And
match.
we talked about last week that this weight class is a little bit crazy, but I mean I agree though. As soon as you went through it, it did seem like it was up like a little like
Yeah, it's
chalky
it's
a little
kind of
bit.
strange. Like unless you have one of those big upsets, that's when it all goes kaput, and then you can kind of toss the bracket out of the way. But even like a guy like Jacob Van D, at the 17, I don't know. His results haven't been great lately, but I mean, he dogged Braden Davis this year. That's a
Yeah.
huge win. So it's those Big Ten guys that wrestle that really tough schedule, and then they show up, and they're just a different guy.
Hmm.
Those are the guys you got to kind of look out for.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let's get into 141. 141. This is gonna be a fun weight class.
Yes, super
Super
fun.
darn
But this is
intense.
probably my favorite weight. Like in all seriousness, this is probably my favorite weight because and maybe not early, but as soon as we hit the quarters, and yeah, but pre-quarters as well because you want to see if those guys kind of get unscathed to the
Yeah.
quarters. But to me, there's a top eight. Like there is eight guys that I feel really good about, and I have one of them getting upset, but just it's kind of random.
Hmm.
You just pick stuff to pick stuff every now and again, right? So on the top side, I have Alirez taking out Hardy in that top quarter. I have him taking him out. I have Happel taking out Coder Hant in the next quarter, right below that. So Alirez, Happel, semi, and then I have Jesse Mendez taking out Dylan Sedano from Virginia. Sedano beating Vance Vombauer in the round before that, and that could easily just fall on its face. But Sedano's quietly put together a good year. He's an older guy. Um, and Vance has looked great all year. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing against him. I just think weird stuff happens. And although it may be unpredictable, I think Sedano's looked pretty darn good this season.
Hmm.
And then down at the bottom, I have Bartlett taking out Tegan Jameson. I think that'll be a really nip and tuck match. Those guys wrestle really, really close matches. One position, two position matches.
Hmm.
Both of those guys kind of wrestle like that. So that'll be an interesting one down at the bottom.
That I have the almost the exact. I mean, I have the same semifinalist,
Yeah,
but
nice.
I put Alirez, Apple, Mendez, but I didn't do the Von Bauer one. But besides that, the
Gotcha.
semi is different. So I want to see what are our finals. I feel like might be a little bit different.
Yeah, so I've got Alirez and Bartlett in the finals. I have just I'm one of the biggest Jesse Mendez fans, just from the standpoint of watching the guy and the way he wrestles. But I said it on the last pod. I just don't know that he's cracking the code, of Bartlett this time. He figured it out in that one position at the national tournament, and yeah, he beat him at the All Star Classic. I mean, he can beat Bo Bartlett. It's not that he can't beat him. It's just that I think Bo's had his number recently, and it almost looks like when they wrestle, it's like we talked about. You almost just are kind of like waiting for Bo to score. Just feels like he's going to get it, and I don't know why that feels that way, but it's looked that way the last couple times. I've got Bartlett beating Andrew Alirez for the NCAA championship at 141.
Nice. Okay, that my only, not only difference. I did put Mendez to beat Bartlett, and then Mendez to win it all, and I think that was a little bit more with my heart than with my head with that pick.
I mean, I think if that happens Saturday, I'm not. If that happens Friday night, if he beats Bartlett and then beats Alirez, I'm not one bit surprised. Not one bit. We know he has that ability. So,
Mm.
but that's what I went with. I got Mendez taking third, beating Happel for third, and then I have Brock Hardy taking out tagging Jameson for fifth, and then I've got Josh Coderhant beating another Frost, Jacob Frost, for seventh. Yep. Yep. Spicy. A nice blood round of Brock Hardy, Vance Von Bauer, which is insane.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, that'd be fun. And that's the, and we'll get into it. But that Friday night with the semis and the blood round is
Yeah.
it might be a little bit better than Saturday night. I mean, I love the
Oh, to
finals,
me, the
but
finals is like the one of my least favorite rounds.
yeah, it just
I
I don't.
mean, because it's 10 matches. It's the least amount of wrestling.
Yeah,
I mean, it's cool. Everybody's focused on one match. But to me, if I ordered it, I would go quarters favorite round, just because I think so much is going on, and you're in that kind of, especially for this weight class, quarters
so
is going to
many
be
good
awesome.
matches in
So
this
many
one.
good matchups with really high seeds, guys you haven't seen those matchups yet throughout the year too, and you kind of been waiting on those. So I'd go quarters, I'd go semis next, I'd go the first and the second day, or the first day. So first round, second round, and then I'd come back with the fifth round, and then the sixth round. I like the fifth round, and everybody, but hardly anybody's there, dude. It's kind of
Yeah,
crazy. There's no one there. Everybody's hungover. So if you're not there watching that round, you're not a true wrestling fan. Like, casuals watch the finals. Super casuals don't show up to the fifth round when they have a ticket. That's brutal.
that's
Can't be doing that.
I couldn't do that. Well, this is yeah, I think so too. It's one of my favorite weight classes, and it's going to be a big toss up on this weekend.
Yeah.
All right, into 49.
Yeah,
49.
49. 49. So I have up at the top, I've got Henson taking out Wazlewski. Did you do your homework and go watch Cross Wazlewski wrestle?
No, I didn't. I didn't. Dang it. I'll write that down.
Even though he's got a tough round of 16, Jordan Williams has actually looked really solid lately. I don't know why I picked Wazlewski. I remembered watching him earlier in the season, and I thought he's looked really good. So don't know where he's at right now. Where Jordan Williams, I kind of have a better idea because I watch Big 12s.
Hmm.
I got Parco taking out D'Amelio. So D'Amelio taking out Pinheiro the round before that. I've got Van Ness taking out Lachlan McNeil. And then I've got Lovett taking out Cannon Webster on the bottom. So, yeah,
We're
we're
chalk
in
there.
lockstep
Besides
there.
Wazlewski,
Besides Wazlewski.
I put
And then
Williams. I
I
had
got
D'Amelia too.
okay. You took D'Amelio too.
Yeah,
Nice. Yeah, we're both gonna be
we
wrong.
should do a
Love it.
podcast.
I've got Caleb Henson taking out Parco in the top semi, and then I've actually got Van Ness taking out Lovett, and I could go either way on that one. I think, to me, and this is just my read on it, that match, I think if Van Ness wins, he matches up with Caleb pretty well. I like the way that he matches up with Caleb. And I love Caleb. Like, this is no, I think Caleb can still win that match. I just think that Van Ness matches up with him. He needs to figure out the Lovett problem first. If Lovett wins, I think that I would tend to put it back in Caleb's favor a little bit. I think he started to kind of figure Lovett out a little bit and kind of figure his game out. But for the sake of picking and us doing a show, I'm going to use my ability to be a homer, and I'm just going to say Caleb Henson's going to take out Shane Van Ness in the finals. Yeah, for his second national title.
And is he a sophomore? Or
Caleb is a true junior.
true
He
junior?
took fifth first, and now he's in his true junior year. Yep.
Only difference, I went the Lovett route, and again, I think this is a little bit. I end up picking these guys that I just really like. I think it is, the 3-horse race there, like we were talking about. But I same thing, could easily see Van Ness winning that one and coming back and beating Henson in the finals, or even Henson. Like I think it's definitely
Yeah,
between
I
those
think all
guys.
three of those guys are really close. To me, like I'm a Caleb Henson fan, I want Ridge Lovett to win because I think that I watched Caleb and Van Ness wrestle 2 years ago at the national tournament, and it didn't go great for Caleb.
Hmm.
So I've seen him beat Ridge Lovett a couple times.
Yeah.
Not that he can't close that gap. Van Ness had a knee issue, and he's had some clunkers, like just the way that he lost to Ridge and the way that he lost to Cannon Webster was kind of like, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, he
It'd be
has some of
interesting.
those of like the Penn State, like, oh, this guy is untouchable, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, maybe
It's
he's
exactly what it is. You look at him like he's untouchable, and then
yeah.
something crazy happens.
Yeah. So this one's gonna be fun.
It's because they score so much, right? Those Penn State guys, they go out there and they put up so many points. You're like, oh, he's dominating this guy, like, and then he'll lose a match to Cannon Webster, and it's kind of like, wow, I didn't see that result coming. So I'll run through my top 8. I got Henson over Van Ness. I've got Lovett over Parko for 3rd. I've got Cannon Webster over Real Buto for 5th. And then I have got Cross Wazlewski over Lachlan McNeil for 7th. So
Emilio don't make it, huh?
No D'Amelio, no Jordan Williams,
No Panera.
no Panero. No Panero. Could fall flat on its face, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know.
Yeah.
We're only gonna release.
but
this.
when you
We might
make
delete this
picks,
whole
when you
episode.
make picks, you're gonna be wrong. I mean, you're not gonna get every pick right. That's okay. Like that's the worst is when people are like, "You got this wrong." It's like, did you like? Well, yeah. Did you pick anything?
Yeah.
Did you do anything? No.
Well,
Okay.
that's who I thought. That's who I thought was gonna win. So you didn't read my mind with it. So.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, I thought this guy was gonna win. Okay, dude. All right.
Well, I like those. I think that dark horse. You talking? I mean, Cannon Webster, I think won, but then the Real Buto, he looks pretty good right now. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting on that backside for sure. I like you're talking about. I mean, I think there could be some really good guys that
Fun weight where I think a lot of close matches. Just for some reason, I just think a lot of these guys are close and can have really, really close matches. You've got some guys that like to score a lot of points. When Ridge goes out there, he puts up points. Shane Van Ness obviously does the same. But you've got some guys like Henson and Parko and D'Amelio who they're solid, man. They just stay in good position. They walk you down. They put pressure on you. They maybe don't score the most points in the world, but they're just such solid guys that I think you could wind up seeing a lot of close matches in this weight.
Yep. All right, 157.
Yeah,
To the quarters.
57. So I've got Chittum taken out. No, I'm just kidding. I gotcha. You were thinking. I mean, he has a chance, man. That guy, Chittum is so up and down. We've talked about like he's up and down. Not saying he can beat Kasak, but he went out and dominated Teamer last year. Like he has the ability to wrestle these guys. I have Kasak taking out Blaze, and went really back and forth on that Blaze ASCII match.
Yeah.
And then I have Cannon taking out Hippolito, and I really, really went back and forth, not on the Cannon Hippolito match, but on the Fish Cannon match before that. I went really, really back and forth on that one. I've got Ryder Downey taking out Antrell Taylor. I think that'd be the rubber match this year. And then I've got Shapiro taking out Ethan Miller. Unfortunately, I didn't like writing that down, but got to do what you got to do.
Not Miller time.
Yeah, it could be Miller time, And then I've got K-Sac taking out Cannon again, rematch of the Big Ten Finals, and then just I think we're going to get deprived of the all concussion match in the finals, and I have Ryder Downey taking out Meyer Shapiro in the semi. I think maybe he grabs his wrist at some point and turns him or something. Be kind of crazy.
That would be crazy. So
I
the
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say that the biggest difference that I did, the one that you were not sure about, was the fish match. I have fish actually beating Cannon and Hippolyta.
I have Fish in the semis on my bracket, and then I have it scratched out with
Man,
Cannon.
I wish I would have changed hats before this because that just seemed like I'm trying to make another Oklahoma State pick,
Hey,
but I just feel like he's got a good spot. I don't know.
I do too. I like his spot. I mean, he couldn't really ask for a better spot. I think for possibly making a semi.
Yeah. And
So
then on the bottom side, I had the same intro writer, and then I did do Miller and Shapiro too, but and then I had Slice Dog still beating
Slice Dog. Yep.
Cantrell to the finals.
Yeah. Yep. And the reason for the thought there, this that it could fall flat. Shapiro really struggled with Cardenas last year, and Cardenas is a very scrambly guy, likes to create a lot of scrambles, passing legs, making it really hard for you to finish. And Downey wrestles very similar,
Hmm.
and he's got that top element as well in his game. And I just think he's a little under the radar for where we think. I think his results throughout the middle of the year, we were like, man, this guy super tough, like top three type of guy. And then, takes a loss to Chittum, takes a loss at the Big 12s. I still think he's at that level though. So it's kind of an off the wall pick. I think that Shapiro has a tough path to make the final. He's
Hmm.
going to have to run through Castillo, which hopefully he just loses that to Noah Castillo. That'd be great. And then he'd have to run through Teamer right away. So that'll
Okay.
be a close match. And then I project he'll have to run through Miller, which is another tough dude. So yeah, I mean, making that final is a tough one. It's a little bit harder of a path than most guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Who you got in the finals then? Winning.
Yeah, so I've got Kasak taking out Downey, and then I've got Shapiro coming back, taking third again, taking out Brandon Cannon for fourth or for third, fourth, and then I've got Antrell Taylor taking out Ja'Cory Teamer, Ja'Cory coming back and wrestling and taking sixth, and then I have Ethan Miller taking out Joey Blaze for seventh.
Nice. Wow.
I had to just the way that it fell of me putting Downey in over Antrell. I had an Antrell Taylor Tommy Askey blood round match, which would be kind of insane. That was a tough one to figure out and kind of parse that one out. And then I think I ended up having a Caleb Fish Ethan Miller blood round match, which
Mm,
I ended up going with Miller.
I was gonna say because you had at one point had Fish in your semis, but then now don't have him,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
honestly
That's how it goes, man. I mean,
what might be what his path is.
yeah, it could be. No, it very well could be.
This is one I put K-Sac too. I think I've been picking two seeds for some reason, but this is a one seed that I think is gonna get it done. He just
Yep.
feel like is a little bit on.
He's looked so complete recently, and I think if he wrestles Meyer, that is a complete to me toss up. I really don't know who wins. I genuinely feel like it's a 50-50. I think it's them. I think it's more so I feel more confident in KSAC getting to the final. Meyer, with just the way that he wrestles, I don't know why I feel this way, but I think he has a little bit more margin for error or a little less margin for error than KSAC does.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I like it. I like it. Well, let's move on to 65 then, getting into the big boys.
Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, we can I mean again, this one of my least favorite weights, contrary, as far as when we talk about who makes the final. I have it scratched in as Messenbrink versus Caliendo, and I think most people will. I think most people will feel that way. I could see maybe some people putting Peyton Hall in there, but just from what I've watched this season, I think those are the two best guys at the weight. I don't really see any other way to pick something else other than those two in the final. So I would imagine you probably have the same thing, and most people picking this weight class would feel that way.
Yeah, and I think even if you go like into your quarters, I think I have the top eight in the quarters. I put Sparks. get an upset there, but still, I think this weight class is pretty chalk, and which I always say makes it boring, but it is still going to be some good wrestling.
Well, I think when we think it's chalk, and then something happens, it makes it more exciting.
Yeah.
You know, you know, not that Mitchell Messenbrink's necessarily going to get beat. He could, but what if Caliendo gets taken out? I mean, that'd be kind of wild. You know, something nobody really expected. So I'll run through my top 8 on this one real quick. I got Mitchell taking out Caliendo. I've got Peyton Hall taking out Hunter Garvin for 3rd. I've got Julian Ramirez taking out Terrell Bearclaw for 5th. And then I've got Cam Amin coming back after losing to Steed in the round of 16 and beating Bo Mantanona, a little Michigan on Michigan rivalry, for 7th. Yep.
Wow, I like that.
Tried to figure out a way to put my guy Chris Minto in there, but couldn't. I had him running into Garvin in the blood round, and I think Garvin's he did it last year. He kind of shows up when the lights are on, so maybe he'll do it again. He started to look better this half of the year.
That's good. Yeah, well, it'll be I guess I don't know if there's mainly dark horses on this weight that I necessarily picked. I guess you could say Garvin, but I mean he's a 7 seed. But what do you think? I guess that this final was. Let's get into that since this weight class we went through pretty quick. What do you think it'll still be pretty close like the Big Ten finals was, or I mean he's controlling the match the whole time. But what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think that Mitchell will increase the margin of victory from what it was at Big Tens. I don't necessarily know that he gets a major. I think that Caliendo has almost put a stop to the bullying a little bit, in a sense. Like he's basically like, you're not going to just come out here and bully me anymore, because that's basically what Mitchell has done to him in the past. He's come out and just bullied him, and that's how he's beaten him so bad. Yeah, Caliendo's kind of put a stop to that. But I still think skills-wise, pace-wise, pressure-wise, especially on that stage, I think that Mitchell will shine bright. He'll perform. I think it'll maybe be a 3 takedown match, and he'll probably try to grab the major right at the end. When I say 3 takedown match, that's basically a major at this point, with the takedowns being 3 points. So, yeah, could be a major. I think it'll be a wider margin than it was at Big Tens.
Yeah, I agree. Well, maybe this also may be my favorite weight class, or maybe second favorite.
Yeah.
For this weekend, but 174. 174.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean three horses, right? I would say. I mean, I think you got 3 guys that when you look at this weight class, you start reading the names off, and you start with Keegan O'Toole, Levi Haynes, Dean Hamidi, and then the next seeded guy is Garrett Thompson. No slight on Garrett Thompson, but when you say those first 3 guys, you're like, oh mama, like,
yeah,
those guys are super, super high level. And you kind of think of these big 3. Now, for O'Toole, I mean, just everything at stake for him winning that Big 12 match and being opposite both of those guys, because if he loses that match, Dean Hamidi could have been the 1 seed. O'Toole and Haynes probably would have been the 2 and the 3 seed, and Dean Hamidi would have been the 1 seed, which would have been just wild.
Crazy.
Would have been wild. But anyways, O'Toole wins that match and then sets up a Hamidi-Haynes semifinal, which is what I have. I have O'Toole taking out Karchel in the top, Bronigal taking out Simon Ruiz. Bronigal coming and upsetting Devos, upsetting Garrett Thompson, and upsetting Simon Ruiz on his way to the semifinals. And then I have Dean Hamidi taking out Patrick Kennedy. And I have Levi Haynes taking out Danny Wask in that last quarter to set up the semifinals.
That's the only thing different I did. I had Bronigal making it to the quarters too. Just thinking he had a good spot and it looked really good.
Yep.
I had him losing to Ruiz there.
Yeah. I think
that one could go either way.
I think this is again, I think one of his toughest matches is his first match against K Devos is a really, really hard match out of the gate. And I'm not saying that Garrett Thompson's easier. I just think those guys are at similar levels. Devos and Thompson and Ruiz, I think they're all kind of in similar buckets. So I think if he can rattle off 1, he can rattle off 2, he can rattle off 3. I see his storybook run coming to an end against O'Toole. But if you'll remember, last year, or excuse me, beginning of the year this year, he pushed O'Toole hard in the duel. Like he started storming back, wrestling O'Toole really close. We probably need to go back and watch that match, but he pushed O'Toole. Anyways, I have O'Toole making the finals along with Levi Haynes. Levi Haynes taking out Dean Hamidi, and I have Levi Haynes winning the national championship against Keegan O'Toole.
Woo, that's good. I put Haynes O'Toole picked against Oklahoma State, but I did put O'Toole back at it, and I think that one's gonna be so close. I mean, it was super close when they
Yeah.
wrestled the end of December because they go right outs or
It was a take. I think it was. It could have been overtime. I can't remember, but
yeah,
O'Toole scored a takedown.
yeah, very
Yeah.
end.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think they got in one of them like locked overhead
Yep.
situations and
Yep.
rolling through. Yeah, and I put this one a little bit. I like both of those guys. I think they're really good wrestlers, and I think that one could go either way, honestly. But I like O'Toole just putting a good tournament together and getting it done.
No, my thing with O'Toole is I don't think he's 100%. I think his knees messed up, and um, I think it took 100% Keegan O'Toole to beat Levi Haynes the last time,
Hmm.
and I think he's going to need that to beat him this time, and I don't think he has it. So, um, prove me wrong. If he does, that'd be really impressive. 3-time NCAA champion would be really really impressive. But I think Levi gets him, and if Levi does get him, riding one of the like most underrated careers for a Penn State guy that just goes overlooked, like second, first in his first 3 years, crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
True freshman too,
What do you think about that semifinal
or
matchup?
he
I
was a true
just
freshman.
yeah. The I've heard, on the Twitter sphere that, that David Taylor, obviously Oklahoma State coach,
Yeah,
going against his guy
crazy.
Levi. That's the only thing. I mean, does it make it a little bit more interesting?
I
Maybe.
think it does.
Maybe.
I mean, the storyline of it, yeah, for sure. I think, which is crazy to say this, I think Levi has a little bit of a horsepower advantage, and Dean doesn't really get out horsepowered by most guys. So he kind of has that ability to stay in the fight as far as horsepower goes. He can always kind of match most guys.
Hmm.
But I don't know, he's a thick dude, man. He is jacked, and it's crazy that he made 57 last year.
Yeah, a weight
So
class jump and
yeah,
looks like he
he
fits
looks
right
all
in.
of 74.
Yeah.
I don't know. He just really impressed me wrestling Pinto in the finals.
Hmm.
And not that Hamidi doesn't. I think it's a very intriguing matchup. I mean, I'll be watching it, kind of sitting there like this could be a match.
Hmm.
I wouldn't sleep on the match, but yeah, it'll be kind of odd seeing David, on the other corner from
Hmm.
Levi.
Well, who your All Americans now for
Yeah, so I
175?
got Haynes taking out O'Toole. I've got Hamidi taking out. I got Pinto coming back taking fourth. So I got Hamidi taking out Pinto. I have got Karchula taking out, or excuse me, Bronigal taking out Karchula for fifth, and then for seventh, I have Simon Ruiz taking out Danny Wask, and I've got my boy Sergio Desante in the blood round,
Mm.
losing a close one to Simon Ruiz, but maybe we win that one. You never know. You never know.
Never know.
You never know. I got other Georgia boy Matt Singleton in the blood round taking or going against Carson Hartshula. And then one of the toughest blood round ones to pick was I had Patrick Kennedy and Lenny Pinto in a blood round, which was, if you'll recall, their duel match, just
Yeah.
insanity. So where did I put Lorenzo Norman? That's I think I have Pinto losing to Karchla topside actually,
Mm.
and then beating Lorenzo Norman in the round of 16 wrestleback. So yeah, a lot of
I
carnage
could
there.
see that. I could see it.
That's a tough. I feel bad either one. So Hartshla or Pinto's not going to make the quarter,
Yeah.
and whoever loses that is probably going to have to wrestle Norman, unless DeSante beats Norman. Is probably going to have to wrestle Norman on the round of 16 wrestleback, and that's like, I mean, those guys are both, to me, they're both top 8 in the country,
Yeah.
but only one of them can go.
Yeah. That first match is gonna
The
be
way that they did that
important.
bracketing up top, I mean, in that quad, you've got O'Toole, Norman, Hartshla, Pinto, all in a quad. So,
Yeah.
I mean, just right there, one of those guys can, like, basically, unless something crazy happens and Norman loses first round or Hartshla or Pinto, basically one of those guys cannot place
Yeah.
unless something, like I said, they lose it different. One of the guys loses first round.
Hmm. Well, let's move on to 184.
Yeah, yeah, and another weight where the final, everybody's talking about the semis and the finals, right?
Hmm.
That's kind of the matchups people want to see. I've got Carter Sirachi taking out Jackson Smith again. I've got Dustin Plott taking out Bennett Berge again from the conference tournament. I've got Max McAnally taking out Gabe Arnold in that corner or in that quarter, a rematch from their duel, and then I've got Parker Keckeisen taking out Edmund Ruth
Mm.
in that quarter, and kind of to set up the semi that everybody would write in here. This is the semis that everybody's looking forward to: Starachi versus Plott, where I've got Starachi, and then Keckeisen versus McAnally, which is a very intriguing match. But I'm going to go with Keckeisen there to set up the big showdown between Carter Starachi and Parker Keckeisen.
Yeah. The only difference that I had was that I had Foka beating Arnold. I had that the Ruth upset. And then but obviously I had those same semis. McNally just looks just too strong for both. I think of those guys, the Arnold or Foka.
Yeah.
And then yeah, getting into the finals, Starachi, Keckeisen. For me, I picked Starachi.
Yeah,
I did it.
I wanted I like in the scene Liar Liar where he's like the pin is red. He's like he wants to say the pin's red, but
Yeah.
it's actually blue, and
Yeah.
so he's like writing it down as red, but it won't do it. It starts writing blue.
Yeah.
I like went to write Keckeisen, and then my hand just wrote Starachi down. It
Mhm.
just wouldn't let me do it for some reason. Because I really want Parker Keckeisen to win this match if they wrestle. I'll be rooting for Parker Keckeisen just because I don't know, just why not? I mean, it's like I don't know. Do I want to see somebody win 5 NCAA titles? I don't know, probably not. Maybe part of me does to see history, but then to see the other side of it where somebody denied history is pretty cool too. So
Yeah. I agree. The same thing. It's like, yeah, it's cool history. Don't know if it can happen again. Then it's like, but Keckeisen though, and winning that and stopping it, that just sounds
it'd be cool.
be cool.
So you pick Starachi.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, me too. I got Starachi over Keckeisen. I've got McAnally taking out Plott for third. I've got Bennett Berge taking out Edmund Ruth for fifth, and then I've got Georgia rubber match Jackson Smith taking out Gabe Arnold for seventh.
Nice.
And that could go either way. Those
Yeah.
guys love wrestling zero takedown matches. Yeah, it's really fun.
You told Gabe he's got to get his offense going. That's what you
Yeah,
said
and if
our
he
first
does, he could.
podcast.
I mean, I think the Foca match is a really fun round of 16 match. Arnold and Foca. Foca, has the ability to score a lot of points, and Gabe has the ability to shut a lot of guys down. So that'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I guess dark horses on this one, kind of Edmund Ruth because he's a 10 seed, but I mean
Yeah, I would
he's
say Gabe, and I mean, to me, after Edmonds' Big Tens taking third, like he's not a dark horse. I don't know
yeah,
why he's seated 10th,
I know.
honestly, especially after the Big Tens he had. I thought that he would have been seated over Jackson personally, just because he beat Jackson recently. I know those guys split, and maybe Edmond didn't have the best season this year, so that's probably why. But I thought that he would have been the 7, and I didn't see Isaac Dean being the 7 seed necessarily. I didn't see that one coming. I have Ruth taking out Isaac Dean in that round of 16. Not a ton of guys that I see where you got a guy like Gavin Kane who's a former All American up there in the 17. So he probably, if he wins that match and then loses to Starachi, can he get hot? I've got Fishback actually in the blood round, so can that guy get hot? So a couple ACC guys that I think you could watch out for.
All right, couple more weight classes. 97.
Yeah,
97, where we
let's
at?
do it. I've got Cardenas taking out Serber in that top quarter. Could have went Bronigal. I kind of tossed that around. I've got Josh Barr taking out Stephen Little in that quarter. Stephen Little taking out Michael Beard in the round before that, and then I have got AJ Ferrari taking out Max Stout. Not you got to be very very careful with which one you choose.
Hmm.
I think there's a decent chance a Stout comes out of that little quad right there. And then I've got Buchanan taking out Wyatt Volker. So pretty chalky. The 1, 2, 3, and the 4 making the semis here. I think there is a class of 4 guys. And so I don't necessarily take Beard out of that conversation. I think that it could be an interesting rematch with Beard and Barr. I just have Little beating Beard for some reason. And then I've got Josh Barr beating Jacob Cardenas this time around for no reason.
Mm.
And then I've got Ferrari taking out Buchanan, and then I've got Ferrari winning the national title.
Ooh.
Yep.
That's a little bit, I feel like a mix up of what some people might do. I mean, obviously the biggest thing is, Barr, is he completely healthy? And I think that's where I went with my picks a little bit, thinking that it might not be.
And he might
So
not be.
yeah, I put Beard beating Little, and I think that I was sat there for a little bit and then went off our
Yeah.
individual brackets off this, and I was like, man, I
Yeah.
don't know, but I did Beard actually beating Barr just because of maybe potential injury. And then I have Ferrari beating Stout, Ferrari Buchanan beating Volker, and then Ferrari Cardenas, that being Cardenas beats Beard, and then Ferrari beating Cardenas in the
Gotcha. So
finals.
we still have the same shit. We both have Ferrari winning, which, following him, I mean, it's going to be boring along the way.
Yeah.
As soon as he reaches Zach Glazier, it's going to be, maybe a takedown. Maybe he beats him 2-0. And he's going to do that the whole tournament. And he's really good at it. It's crazy. It's crazy of how, like, the way he is and his personality versus how he wrestles. It's nuts. But he grits out a lot of wins. He did it against Stephen Little, and he's looked pretty impressive as of late.
I mean, that's how he won his national title.
Yeah, I mean, he just kind of grits matches out. So I've got Ferrari taking out Barr. I've then got Buchanan taking out Cardenas for third. I have got Michael Beard taking out Luke Serber for fifth. And I have Stephen Little taking out Max Stout for seventh.
Hmm. Yeah, on my bracket, I just put Stout, and then I just pushed forward Stout just so I didn't have.
Stout. Yep.
Yeah,
Double Stout. I'm
double
gonna have
Stout.
a couple. I'm gonna have a couple stouts on Thursday when I get there. Thursday night, if Stout and Stout wrestle, I'm gonna have to go buy a stout and take a picture. I'm gonna try to plan this out. If they have any sort of stouts in the building, they've got to, right?
It's something.
And so I'm gonna take a picture of a stout beer, while Luke and Max Stout wrestle each other. That'd just be a classic picture.
Different level.
I mean, that has to go Twitter viral. I mean,
Yeah, we'll do it, and I'll retweet.
thanks, buddy.
No problem. All right, we went through those. I think this weight class will be interesting. The big one, depending how Barr is. We both put
Yeah, it
Ferrari.
comes down to his health, right? I mean, it really
Yeah.
does. I think the him being healthy could make a huge difference in how this bracket shakes up. You've got a guy like Trey Munoz who could benefit if he is not healthy,
Hmm.
and some other guys that probably won't benefit in the other case of that. But yeah, I mean, Isaiah Salazar, Wyatt Volker, round of 16 match. I mean, those guys wrestled both really hard. So Zach Bronigal looked really good at Big Tens. I could see him beating Serber just as easily as I could see him losing that one. So
Hmm.
definitely
Brother.
a fun weight with. I don't like we both picked Ferrari, but I don't think he would be super high on our confidence meter
Yeah.
to run the table, just because of who he is, his antics, and you could see something crazy happening. You
Yeah.
don't want to, but
That's like that wasn't with my heart pick. That was like
no,
I think
yeah,
he might.
yeah. It's like
All right.
he's gonna win a couple 2-0 matches.
Yeah. Big boys.
Big
85.
boys,
Last
big
bracket.
boys.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, so I've got Gable taking out Colton Schultz in the quarter at the top. I've got Nick Feldman taking out Owen Treffin. So I've got Feldman actually beating Keeter this time around,
Mm.
and then taking out Treffin to make the semi. I have Kirkfleet taking out Jimmy Mullen in that quarter, and then I have Hendrickson taking out Trumbull again in that quarter at the bottom, setting up a big Hendrickson versus Greg Kirkfleet match, which I think a lot of people are anticipating that would be the semi, and would look forward to that match. That's a fun match. And then setting up another Gable versus Feldman match that we've seen a time or two this year. And then I've got Gable over Kirk, got Kirk making the final, and I've got Gable winning that one, and kind of finally doing a salute and tip of the cap and getting out of college wrestling. But it's,
Better
man,
not take his shoes off again.
I know, can't take your shoes off again. He's been fun to watch, man. I just hope he keeps wrestling. I really do. I think he's a wrestler. He's just he can make a lot of money just doing what he's doing and wrestling, and then, go fight after that. You're still going to be in your prime of where you need to be to fight. So
Yeah.
I'll run through it. I got Gable over Kirk. I've got Hendrickson taking out Keeter for fourth, so I actually have Keeter coming back and beating Feldman on the backside. And then I've got Feldman taking out Owen Treffin again for fifth, and then I've got Jimmy Mullen beating Colton Schultz for seventh.
Wow. Yeah, I like Jimmy Mullen. I haven't watched much of him. The
Yeah, really
only
good recruit.
differences there is I did the opposite. I had Keeter beating Feldman, and then same thing of Keeter beating that spot, beating
Yeah,
Treffon to the semis there. I think that's the most interesting spot of like who's gonna get
right.
that number 4 semi spot. But then, yeah, Kirk beating Heinzelman, and that was the only difference between Mullen and Heinzelman there. And then Kirk against Gable, and then Gable winning it all. So a little bit shocked there, but yeah, I think, like I said, that fourth place spot will be pretty interesting, and that round of 16 and the quarters will be really fun to watch. So
Yeah, it's a couple guys to keep an eye on. I mean, whoever loses that, Yaroslav Slavakuski defaulting out of Big Tens, putting him at the 16. It's similar to what we talked about with 174, where in that quad, you've got a couple guys like, you've got Gable, obviously, and then you've got Slav, Colton Schultz, and Luke Luffman. So theoretically, one of Colton Schultz and Luke Luffman's going to lose in the round of 16, and then Big Slav. So you could see an early wrestleback match, round of 16 wrestleback with Slavakuski and Luffman, or Slavakuski and Schultz, and I think that's a pretty big match with former All-American type guys or type level guys. If I don't think Luffman plays, but he's at that level, where he's seated 8th. So that's an interesting one to me. I think a guy like Seth Neville's, what does he look like against Owen Treffin if he can win that first round match against Jordan Greer and wrestle Owen Treffin? I mean, we just know he's tough. He can wrestle in those big matches. So, and then I'm excited to see the ACC guys like Trumbull Pitzer rematch in the round of 16, and then Jimmy Mullen. Like I said, I think he takes out Heinzelman. So I'm a little bullish on those ACC guys.
yeah, that'd be fun. Well, that's all the brackets. Ran through them. Now I know your picks. Hunter wouldn't tell me his picks because we
No.
just did our like group NCAA like bracket challenge, and so I was
Yeah, and
trying
I
to get
hate
him
my
before.
team. I know. We were talking before this where like some of the picks that I made didn't even go along with the picks that I put in my bracket. So like I kind of totally contradicted myself of what I did on picks. But to me, when you're doing a game like that versus making picks, picks it's white and black. You write something down and you move on to the next one, and you got to forget about the other one. When you're doing the other game, it's like you're hedging your bets sometimes. You're picking safer guys versus maybe more vulnerable guys. I can sit here and tell you that, hey, I think Ja'Cory Teamer takes 6th at 57, but he's still the 18 seed, or 15 seed. I'm not sure. And I can sit here and tell you guys, I think I picked Ryder Downey to make the final, but I think he could just as easily probably lose in the blood round. Right? Like, I think he has those ranges of outcomes. So I think range of outcomes makes a big difference when you're playing games. So I know a lot of people do like the Flow Wrestling lineup legends pick'ems, or there's some WrestleStat pick'ems out there. I would advise in those, when you're doing huge groups of people, that's maybe one where you don't hedge your bets as much.
Mhm.
right? Because if you think about it from like a DFS, like a daily fantasy model, if you guys have ever played any sort of like fantasy football, DraftKings, FanDuel, any sort of you're doing daily fantasy like that, and you're playing in large field lineups, things like that, where you're setting lineups, the whole point of it is to be unique. You want a unique lineup to try to win it. You don't necessarily want, okay, yeah, you want the best lineup, but you picking the best lineup possible is really hard to do, right?
Mhm.
So you really want to be unique sometimes. So like last year, if you were unique enough and I guess I'll say brilliant enough to pick Richard Figueroa as your champion, you already had such a leg up. Yeah, nice job. You already had such a leg up because most people were taking really high seeds. Drake Ayala, Braden Davis, they were taking those guys as their. Just keep that in mind when you're dealing with a salary cap thing. Like I think WrestleStat is salary cap, whereas the lineup legends you just pick whoever you think is going to be the 10 champs.
Mhm.
If you're doing like a salary cap sort of deal, maybe that's when you start to get, okay, yeah, I'm going to take this guy here. I'm guaranteed some points here, especially if they pay out a certain range. But I always try to say the first few picks, I try to take guys that I think have a chance of winning the tournament.
Mhm.
So if you're thinking, hey, I'm going to pick maybe a guy that's a little bit lower seed, but I think he has a chance of winning the tournament, then go with that one. I probably wouldn't advise taking any other heavyweight besides Gable unless you're like, oh, Hendrickson's going to pin his way to third. In that scenario, he might score just as much, right? Because you can score a lot of points on the backside and getting a bunch of pins against guys. Yeah, that's always such a fun time of the year having these contests and things like this. Obviously, we do our draft, we
Yeah.
do the Big Ten draft, and then we do our draft. All the different contests that people are coming out with now, and then you can now gamble on DraftKings Sportsbook. I haven't checked any other sports books, but I'm wondering if maybe like a FanDuel or anybody else will drop picks. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean,
Pretty
wrestling's
fun.
becoming a little, at the college level, coming a little bit more. We're getting a little bit more popularity as far as contests, gambling, things like that go. So it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, these picks, like, and you end up contradicting yourself, but it's so fun to just like sit there and root for a guy that I might not actually like go th like I'm gonna be rooting for Dom Serrano because he made it on my team. Well, at least
Yeah,
it's like I might
yeah,
not have root for him, but then I'm gonna watch every one of his matches and be like, heck yeah, when he wins like a close one, you know. So
exactly.
it's a lot of fun. I mean, this whole weekend is gonna be hype every like this the Thursday, I start putting up a couple TVs, putting up the quad boxes. It's just gonna I'm excited for it. It's gonna be a good tournament. Last thing, I guess, I mean, we know Penn State's gonna get first place. What do you think about second place? What's your picks there? Maybe second, third. It's
Yeah,
gonna
I
be
wish I
tough.
I wish I would have maybe done a little bit more math to know exactly based on my
Calculate it.
picks
Mm.
and calculate it a little bit more. But from what I mean, I think from my vibe of what I gave picks to teams and where I have guys placing, I would say that I have three Cowboys taking third. I think that's gonna do it. I have those guys. I think I have Hamidi, Hendrickson, and Spratley taking third. So that's probably going to do it for the second place team for me. So that would be my pick. I would take Iowa at three. And then I think that fourth illustrious spot at fourth is tough. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Nebraska. I think that Ridge, even though I don't have Hardy winning, I think those guys have the ability to win and make finals. And you throw in some other guys like Pinto and Caleb Smith, Antrell Taylor, guys that I think won't win the tournament, but can make some runs on the backside. And I could see them taking fourth, maybe even third. They looked so good 2 weeks ago at Big Tens.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I agree. That's kind of how I had it out. I mean, I have Spratley making the finals, so I think I got.
Our Spratley love, dude.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Spratley love.
man, it's gonna be fun. This is again, we've said so many times, like one of my favorite times of the year.
Yeah,
You get to go see it in person, and that's gonna be hype. I'm gonna be watching on TV, but I know we're gonna be shooting out so many text messages this week just about it. And when the upsets happen, it's the best.
it's
It's
awesome.
like you don't do anything but just like you text, like, "Oh my gosh, you see this?" And then
Yep.
then you keep moving on. But it's
And
just
everybody's watching, and it's
yeah,
yeah. No, it's
But
so
it's
much fun, and then we'll do a recap show. So as soon as I get back, we'll get cracking on a recap
yeah.
show. And then I think we were talking about it on one of maybe the earlier episodes, and we'll get into it more. But we'll start maybe doing some more freestyle stuff, and then we'll definitely get into like some early lineup looks for 2025 for college
Yeah.
teams next year.
Heck yeah. Well, cool. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys tuning in to this NCAA Pick'ems show. Going to be a good one this weekend, Hunter. Appreciate you as always.
Folks.
See you guys.